All right, well, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Friends Community Series. I'm assuming that you have some degree of familiarity with Friends. Is there anybody out there that this is the first time that they've ever been to any kind of a Friends event? All right, awesome. So it looks like we've got Jeffrey. So Friends is a great national organization for teens and for children who stutter, and it's just a really great community for providing support for each other. And so that's really what the idea of this community series is to give an opportunity for us to kind of get together and to share our experiences and to come up with ways that we can live as successfully and as happily as we can as a person that stutters. So my name is Rick Arenas. I am a person who stutters. I'm a professor at the University of New Mexico, and I've been with the Friends organization now for a couple of years. I'm their treasurer, and I'm just really honored to get the opportunity to meet you guys and to hear all of you guys' stories. Today we have a really great panel of some great teens who were willing to speak about their experiences going back to school. And so the topic for this community series is challenges with school and going back to school, particularly at this time when everything is kind of it's a little challenging in a lot of different regards. And so it'll be really helpful, I think, to hear some of the experiences that so some of you have had, and then we can kind of work together to see what kind of ideas we all have to kind of to be able to help each other. All right. Does anybody have any questions before we begin? It would be great if you feel comfortable, if you can turn your cameras on, just because then it'll give a lot more of the feel of actually being together in person. And so if you could go ahead and do that, that would be great. I'd really appreciate it. But if you don't feel comfortable, that is okay too. All right. Cool. It's great. It's great seeing all of you. Okay, so we have four wonderful panelists. We have Catherine, Stephen, Alexis, and James. And so I didn't pre-assign anybody to go first, but if we have any volunteers, we can just go ahead and get started with the panel. And you can talk about whatever you want, but some of the topics are about how school's going so far this year, if there's any particular challenges that you've been having, particularly with regard to stuttering, and then any advice that you have for the other teens or the kids on here on the Zoom call. So does anybody want to volunteer to go first? How about I'll randomly choose Stephen.
Hello, my name's Stephen Gibbs. Don't mind my name. It's my mom's name. We just couldn't change it. I get the question a lot. How is school for you as a stuttering person? And it's mostly the same, but it comes with some hardships that are along the way. Uh, it's it's the same. It's the same except when you're answering questions and you stutter. And you stutter on the question, but the big thing is that you have to still say the question and don't shy away from the question, because you're not really you're not helping yourself, you're hiding yourself. And uh school for me so far has been pretty fun. I just entered a freshman in high school, so it's a new experience and it's pretty fun and different. uh I get questions every so often about why do you speak like that? And I'm like, I'm just a person who stutters. You can deal with it or you can't. And I think that's the mentality that we should have with this. Like, we stutter, and that's not going to stop us from talking or anything. We should still talk and answer questions or do whatever we would normally do as a person. That's really all I have.
Yeah, that's great. And that is great advice. I totally agree with that. So, have you had any particular experiences like with like answering questions or anything over just the last few weeks in school?
Uh, I had to give a presentation one time on this one book that I read, and it was a pretty hard day for me stuttering, and I stuttered a lot. And you could see some of the kids' faces like, "Oh, this is different. This isn't usual." And but I still did it. My teacher still gave me an A plus, so it was worth it. And uh, I just still did it, and I stuttered through it, but I still did it, and it was perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's I love your attitude about it. Like
Thank you.
that's exactly what is going to be the most helpful. That's great. Awesome. All right, so we'll go on to the next panelist. Does anybody want to volunteer, or should I call someone out? All right, we will go with, how about Alexis?
Hi everyone. My name is Alexis Rump. I am a junior in high school, and when I was asked to speak on today's panel, I was pretty excited. I am in just about the second month of this year, and high school hasn't been so bad so far. But presentations have gotten a lot better for me, and it's just been through practicing and I'm going over it multiple times. I sent out teacher letters to all of my teachers who don't know me or who haven't had me before, which basically teacher letters just state that I stutter and that sometimes I need more time, or there are some instances where I don't want to be called on in class because anxiety, and when I get very anxious, my stuttering gets harder and it's harder to speak. So one of the other things was this year I got a new teacher and he also stutters. So when I gave him my teacher letter, he started talking to me about it because he also hadn't really met anyone who stuttered. And so I thought that was really cool that that happened to me. Um, but how I handle stuttering in school situations, whether that's presentations, if you get called on in class, is just to surround yourself with good people. Try to put yourself out there in in situations where you can make more friends. And if you need to talk to someone, reach out to someone who you can talk to. because it gets so much better after you do that, or after you vent to someone, and to ask your teachers for help, because I can guarantee they have the answers for you, and they have ways that they can help you that you may not have thought of. I do have some advice. It would be it gets better stuttering. It takes time, but you have to be patient, and you have to work hard to accomplish your goals. And when you're having a hard time with stuttering, remember to tell someone, take a step back, breathe, relax, and go back when you're ready. And lastly, learn to embrace your stuttering. It takes time, and it is quite hard, but hating it, and trying to block it out from your life only makes it worse. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Alexis. That's some really good advice. I just have a couple of questions. How long have you been doing the letters to the teachers?
Well, I started working with when we moved to Florida in 2017. I was set up with a new speech therapist, Sarah McIntyre, and so
Yeah,
it
I know
was
Sarah.
in that year, yeah, and it was in that year that she had me write teacher letters to my teachers. So I would say just about 5 years.
Okay.
And it really does help. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So do you find that that the teachers are really willing to talk to you about it and kind of work with you?
They are, but you have to be open about it, and you have to explain how they can help you, because most teachers, they don't know. So getting a new student who stutters, and they have never had that before, they don't know how to approach it. So we have to teach them and educate them.
Right. Yeah, that's great. So I said one more quick question, if that's okay.
It's okay.
You said that in the letter, you said that sometimes you don't like to be called on. Like, do you have a way that you can communicate that to the teachers, like in the moment, or how do you handle those times when you would rather not be called upon?
I think most times it's just most students don't like to be called on, especially if they don't know the answer. So I will raise my hand, or when they do just call on me, I'll just say, I'm not quite sure, or I will explain to them beforehand that with stuttering, it's harder to speak during class because it's more nerve-wracking for me, and so usually.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for sharing, Alexis.
Of course.
All right, so we got two more people. Do you guys want to volunteer to go next, or do you want me to pick somebody?
I can go.
Okay.
So, hi, I'm Catherine. I'm very sorry. My camera's not working on my computer for some reason. So I actually just started school last Tuesday. It's been pretty easy. I'm doing college classes this year. So I only have classes 3 days a week for less than 2 hours. So it's been really great for me. Um, uh, so a few things that have been harder for me is in my English class, my teacher partnered us up with someone else in the class, and we had to introduce ourselves to them, and then we find out some information about them, and then we introduce them to the class. Does that make sense? Um, so it was my turn to introduce my partner. So I told the teacher I stutter, and I tried to read the information he gave me, but I got stuck on the first word. So I felt that everyone's eyes on me, and my face was just like hot. It was burning because I was embarrassed. So and then another thing he had us do this week was he um, so there's this essay that he's having us read, and he asked for volunteers to read out loud, and he said to earn points in class, you have to read out loud or share your ideas with the class. I don't mind doing it, but like I said earlier, it's just embarrassing when everyone has their eyes on you and staring at you. So I handle these situations by so um, so my mom once told me, and she still does, that after you move on, like once you're done with that class, you don't remember anyone really. So I just tell myself, who cares what anyone else thinks? I won't even remember them after I'm done with this. So, but of course, you're bound to make at least a friend in that class. So after you do, they're not going to care. Which brings me to the next part. What advice would you give other kids who are having a hard time? I think a lot of us, and not everyone, but a lot of us who stutter are introverts. So here's a short story to hopefully inspire you. So when I was younger, I tended to lash out at people because I was angry that I had to stutter. And that really pushed people away. So I didn't really have the confidence in me to make friends. So I think I was in like 5th grade. I started hanging out with this small group, and they really helped me boost my confidence. Like they would stop to listen to what I had to say. And then one time, one of them basically told everyone to shut up because I was trying to say something. And they just wanted to hang out with me all the time and sit with me at lunch. I'm still friends with a few of them, but the ones that really helped me are going to different schools, and I don't know what they're doing right now. And yeah, I wish I could thank them though. So my point is, if you're struggling with your confidence because of stuttering, go out and find someone or a group to help boost you up. It doesn't have to be the popular girls who play soccer. There's nothing wrong with soccer, by the way. That's just a group that was like the popular girls. and they kind of rejected me, but whatever. The group that I was a part of was um, um, they mostly played video games, and like two of them were kind of athletes, but we still got along like really well. So I truly believe people like this are put in your life for a reason, even if it's just for a short amount of time, because even after they're gone, the influence they gave you still lives. So that's all I've got.
Excellent. Well, thanks a lot for sharing,
Yeah.
Catherine. Awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of seeing a common theme across both Alexis and Catherine, that it is so helpful to have the people around you for support, and that kind of putting yourself out there is important, because otherwise you're not going to find those people out there as like easily. So that's great. Awesome. All right, we got one more. We got James. Are you ready, buddy?
Hello. My name is James. As you can probably tell with everyone else, I also stutter. I'm a freshman in high school now, so hooray for that. So I don't know what to really think about it, because I haven't been in school that long. So sorry for a second. So yeah, I haven't had any trouble yet, so I haven't really met anyone, because it's nice that almost all the kids that I know have matured a lot more than the 7th grade, 6th grade. So that's good. I haven't really had any incidents, which is nice, and I haven't really been asked to read either, which is good. So I haven't had any problems, but when I was younger, I did, but now I've just learned to ignore them. People, they just want to get a reaction out of you. I can tell you that. A couple weeks ago, I was at a friend's house, and their younger brother and friend were over, and they started making fun of me how stuttering. So I was already mad at them because they were mocking me for stuff. I just screamed at them the story, and it wasn't not my fault. And that shut them up, and that was good. So, and that felt good to yell at them for once. So you probably shouldn't yell at people, but yeah, that's what I did. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for sharing, James. I know I've probably yelled at a couple people as well over the years, so it's okay. I would agree it's probably not the best way to handle it, but I totally understand the frustration at times, for sure. That's awesome. All right, cool. So I had a couple other questions for just the panel, and then after a while we can open it up to the whole group as well. But so everybody on the panel is either in high school or in college, and I was just curious if you guys would be willing to talk a little bit about kind of the change from both going from elementary school, because it looks like there are some elementary school kids here too.
Can
and
I
kind
go?
of that. Okay. Yeah. So in between like elementary school and then going into middle school, and then going from middle school to high school, and then Catherine, if you can talk a little bit about going to starting college, just because I think that there is a lot of kind of changes in between those different stages, and I just love to hear if you guys have anything to say about whether it's gotten better for you or whether like how the challenges had changed and how you kind of adapted to that. So if anybody on the panel wanted to speak to that, that'd be great.
The transition to middle school, to high school is not that bad because you get 3 months off, whatever. If you live in the United States, which is all you do. Because like I said, kids have matured a lot over the summer, and that's good. And you're also joining a group with a lot more kids. Like my school has over 2,000 students, so that's nice.
Yeah.
That's
So
because then people don't really care as much, like whatever. Cool.
So when you say that they've matured more, like they're not
Like
saying
laughing
things,
or anything, like stuff.
right?
Not throwing it out like childish insults.
Yeah, that's good. All right, and anybody else want to share about that topic?
Yeah, sure. So I'm technically still in high school. So but I'm taking college classes. So
Okay.
in some states, if you're a junior in high school, you can start taking college classes.
Gotcha.
But the classes you take at the college have to fulfill the graduation requirements for the high school. So so it's really different for me. In high school, I'm bound to have at least like one or two people I know in each class. But at the college, it's harder because I don't like there's not a lot of people I know. Well, I don't really know anyone actually, but so it's just harder to like put myself out there.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. So are you enjoying the college level classes though?
Oh yeah, they're so much easier for me, and the people in this classes, they like they're not there to goof around. They're there to because they want to be there.
Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. Alexis or Stephen, do you guys have anything to kind of say about that transition across the different stages?
Well, for me, it was a pretty big change going from a very small private school to a very big public school. And it was very different from my school with a lot more kids, but it was very fun and very interesting. And like the kids, as James said, they don't really care as much as they're not as immature as they are in elementary school. And it's different and sometimes hard, but it's also very fun and a good learning experience for me, at least.
That's good to hear. Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Do you have anything to share, Alexis?
Yeah. I would say the transition was wasn't a big
Oh, I think you got muted there, Alexis.
sorry. The transition for me wasn't that big because I've had all my schools have been quite small, The only thing I would say was in each class, there are different students, and with different students per class, you get different reactions for everything. So, um, it wasn't bad. I've learned to adapt, and high school really isn't as scary as everyone says it is.
Excellent. Well, thanks for sharing about that. Cool. I said one more thing, and then we can take a little break after that, and then if and then we'll come back for the whole group to kind of share and to ask some questions. So the one thing that I was going to ask, because I certainly feel like this was true for me, but over the last year, just not being able to interact as much in person, because for my job I was actually working from home for like over a year, and coming back into actually speaking with people in person more. It was kind of a weird transition for me. It was almost like I didn't quite know how to how to adapt back, and so a lot of some of my older feelings of wanting to avoid actually kind of came back. And so I was just curious if that was a challenge for you guys. I'm not sure if you guys were doing class online last year. I think the majority of the country was, but I'd just love to hear if you were doing class online last year, if that was a pretty big challenge coming back. And then also, like, if you guys have to wear masks at school, if that's playing any role for you guys, like if it's good or bad. Do you mind if I call on one of the panelists here? I'll start with Steven. How's that sound?
Okay. For the online school, I didn't have it that much. I had it a bit in 8th grade, but then I went back to school and then online and back to school. It was different coming in with that, because at the end we were online and then we just went to the summer. So I didn't have that real experience as leaving school and did all that stuff. But in the high school it's different to go back to talking with people, but it's also fun, and it's good because like you get to speak to people, and like they speak, actually you can actually have a conversation with them instead of just being online. uh Masks is it's we have to wear masks at my school, and it's different because like sometimes people cannot be heard or they talk quietly, or if you stutter they sometimes think it's just because you're masked or not talking as loud. But it's still it's still very fun, and it's still good. Masks and the online learning hasn't impacted me that much, but I can definitely tell that it's a thing that's been going on.
Cool. Okay. All right. How about Alexis?
So I when COVID first started, I was on the end of my freshman year of high school, and so we went online then, and then summer break, and I was online last year for my sophomore year. The whole year I was online. So it was different because I'd never done that before. It was optional to be online, and some people stayed in school, but I chose online. And I would say that it kind of worked in my favor because being online, I felt like school was going at my pace, and it was kind of in certain situations, if I was the only online person in a class, that I kind of had a one-on-one with the teacher sometimes. And so talking to them instead of the whole class was definitely less nerve-wracking. So I did like online, but I am glad to be back in school now. And then we do wear masks in school. It's mandatory, just to keep everyone safe. Although it is hard because, as Steven said, some people talk quietly, or you can't hear them, and also being a stutterer, people can't hear me on top of that, and so that is kind of tricky. But I think it'll all get better.
Totally. Awesome. All right, Catherine, how about you? Did all of this stuff have any impact on you?
Um, um, it, it wasn't like, so I went online also at the end of my freshman year, and into my sophomore year. It was nice because instead of like speaking like I am now, I could just type it in the chat and I didn't have to talk. So that was nice, I guess. I think it would have been better if I tried talking, just to work on it. But yeah, that was nice. And so at the college, we all have to have a mask on. It's actually not too bad for me, but I just have to talk louder, I guess. But it 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 my stutter's been the same as it's always been, either way. So yeah.
Okay, excellent. Cool. So yeah, I'll just kind of open it up to whoever else wants to ask any questions, or if you have anything that you want to share about going back to school, or any of the challenges that you've been having. Or...
I'll share.
Okay, excellent, Archer. Thank you.
My name is Archer, and school hasn't been that bad for me. We all have to wear masks. Some kids aren't that happy about it, but I'm fine with that. And really, everything's been kind of normal. For me, stuttering is not that hard to get by. Usually I just keep talking and just ignore it. And some people ask me questions like why do you stutter? I just say that I was born with it, and there really isn't much things to help stuttering. So I like to get rid of it. And yeah. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you sharing, Archer. I'm glad to hear that everything is going really well for you. That's cool. All right. Does anybody else have a question or would like something to share?
I have something to share. So my name's Kira. I'm in 3rd grade. Stuttering hasn't been that hard. But sometimes I stutter at recess. But in class, not that much.
Okay, that's great. Is it more just when you're kind of playing with your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. All right, does anybody, and you can ask questions of the panel too, if you have any questions for them.
Me, I do.
Okay, excellent.
So for me, stammering isn't too hard. Some people ask me about my stammering, but not really most of the time. And also, I'm the only person in class who really stammers. And I don't stammer that often anyway.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that it's not becoming a burden. That's great. That's cool. So are you in the UK?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, it's great that you're here. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody else have any questions for the panel or just comments or anything that they'd like to share?
I do.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, Emma.
My name is Emma and I'm in 3rd grade. Class this year has been a little tough for me. It's been hard because last year I was online for some of the year and it's just been tough getting back and together and I don't love wearing masks. And yeah.
Yeah. And do you think that the masks impact your speaking, or you just don't enjoy it? You just don't enjoy wearing them?
I just don't enjoy wearing them.
Yeah.
And it's tough to hear people in them and I don't love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think most people would probably agree with that. Well, thanks for sharing, Emma.
You're welcome.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions or things to share? All right. Well, I think we'll take a quick break, just so that everybody can have an opportunity to refreshen up, and then we'll join back in about 5 minutes. And so if you can just kind of reflect on some of the things that you've heard and just kind of see if you have any questions or comments or just any other ways to encourage each other, that would be fantastic. So we'll just take a quick break and we'll come back at in about 5 minutes. Cool. All right. So I just wanted to open it up again to everybody, just see if there's anything you want to share, ask questions to the whole group, ask questions to the panel in particular.
I want to share.
Okay, excellent, Jeffrey.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Jeffrey, and I live in Vietnam. So I have saw you guys like for a weeks ago, and I want to be in here and then sharing my thoughts. So I started to notice myself to have stuttering when I was in grade 6, and it kept going to like more than 9 years. So right now I'm 22 years old, and I am the last year student in the university. So I want to share some thought and also the lesson that I have learned a lot in this journey. is that first thing is you are just normal as other people. Don't see yourself as disabled one, because you are not, and this is nothing wrong with you. And the second thing is, I know when you stutter, there is a lot of things with like going on inside of your head. So when you stutter, just please just hold on a second, just take a deep breath, and then you say it again. That is better than you say and then you say like you keep until you have the new idea to talk. So yeah, it's better for you to just take a deep breath and then say thing again. So I have known this one is that there are nothing wrong with us, nothing wrong with our mouths, or nothing wrong with our thinking, but there is something wrong, is that we still don't have enough the neuron connection inside of us. So as you can know that when we learn something, we have to practice, and we repeat that a lot of times for our mind to create enough the neural connection. So I think that information was helped me a lot. And what I am doing through day is I speaking, and then I record myself in 5 minutes, and then I listen to it again, and then I judge it, like how many RMs that I have in my recording, or how many repeated works that I have. And also I judge about the speed that I talked that day. So I practice it like for 100 days, and it helps a lot. I hope this helped you guys. I know that I'm just like a little guy from Vietnam, but I try to do it little by little. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for joining. It's great to see that there are people all around the world joining in. That's great, and I love hearing what you have to say about that. There isn't nothing wrong with this. I mean, like, we're just normal human beings, and we just have some challenges getting words out as easily as like other people, and I would agree that I don't view it as a disability by any means, because we are perfectly capable and perfectly able to do everything. It just might take us a little bit longer sometimes. So that's awesome. I really appreciate you sharing that, Jeffrey. All right, anybody else?
I've got a question.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we doing the children's meeting now, or still the teenagers?
It is open to anybody, so you can go ahead and ask your questions or share if you want.
Well, even though it says underneath my name, it says Michelle Lloyd. My real name is Amy Lloyd, and
okay.
Also, I would like to tell you that stammering can also be a little bit embarrassing, but it really isn't. Once the friend that you're making knows that you have a stammer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Completely. I agree with that. That's so true. Well, thank you for sharing that, Amy. Yeah, I liked a couple. I think it was Caitlin that kind of said that her mom gave her someone I think is really good advice that particularly as you get older, I think most people don't really care. And so I think a lot of times it's more us feeling the embarrassment, and it's not really oftentimes that the other people that you're talking to you even really care. And so I think that's really true, and it's very good advice. All right, anybody else want to share or have a question?
Yeah, I've got something else to say actually.
All right.
So I took this PE class when I was a freshman, and so um, uh, I met this this one girl, and I was trying to tell her, "Hi, my name's Catherine." But of course, I stuttered on my name. So is so she kind of had this look on her face. Um, I'm my camera's not working, so I can't show you, but sorry about that. But she kind of had this look on her face, and she turned away, and I was like, oh yeah, I stutter. So if people ever do that, well, before I begin that part, so after talking to her some more, we kind of became friends. You know, just like someone I talked to in class, but not really outside of class. You know, one of those things. So I could talk to her, and she'd listen to me. The point is, if somebody does that, don't like assume that they're trying to be mean. They probably just have never heard that before. It's kind of like this kid who I used to go to school with. He had autism, and so at first I was like, oh, I've never heard that before. Like, so but after I like found out what it was, it's like, oh, okay. So it's kind of the same thing. It's like once people know that you stutter, it's like, okay. So don't judge too quickly when, like, if people do that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So do you feel like it's part of our responsibility too to make it clear to them what's going on, and yeah, I would agree with that totally. So do you guys have any experiences where you feel like your stuttering changes a lot from kind of context to context? And do you have some ideas as to what personally for you kind of drives that? Like, do you stutter more at school or at home, or when you're talking to certain people or in certain situations? And we can open it up to the whole group.
I feel like I stutter more when, like, I'm very excited about something, and when I'm trying to talk faster than usual sometimes.
Okay.
Or maybe when I'm angry.
Okay.
Um,
Cool. Okay. Thanks for sharing them. How about anybody else?
I have found that I stutter more when I am meeting someone new.
Mhm.
Probably because I've just never met them before, and so I don't know how they'll initially react.
Mhm.
Or it's because I have no experience with that person and how they feel, and so it's just kind of a block, and it gets easier over time.
Excellent. Cool. All right. Anybody else have thoughts on that, or any experiences?
I stutter more when I'm under pressure or nervous.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's typical usually if you're nervous.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. For me, and from what I've observed or from what I've heard from a lot of people as well, is that sometimes for me, it's kind of driven a lot by perceived judgment. So if I feel like the person's going to judge my stuttering in some particular way, it seems to make it more challenging. And so that for me, that's kind of why the introductions are probably a lot harder, just because you're just meeting them for the first time, and it's kind of increases the chances that potentially they would kind of view that in not as positive of a light. But I was just kind of curious if you guys have kind of thought about it from that kind of perceived judgment standpoint.
I hate when people talk fast. That is the most thing that I hate the most. Like, they talk fast, and I think that they make me have to catch up with them. Like, I have to talk fast like them, like very stressful too. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right. Anybody else have any other topics or challenges or questions or anything that they'd like to share with the group?
Is it okay if parents contribute?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm clearly not Ian.
Yeah.
I'm Tony, and my son Ian is a kid who stutters. He went from a K to 8, so kindergarten to 8th grade, smaller school, into high school, which is in his school is huge because it's a magnet school in our area. And he's been at home doing online studies since March last year until this year. So he's now new in the school, really, even though he's been there a year. And making friends is kind of challenging when you're wearing a mask, and we're in the Seattle area, and people tend to talk quite fast. And so mask is making it challenging, and I'm glad to kind of see that that's not unique to us. But I have a question about making friends and how best, and specifically the older panelists, what advice do you have for parents? Because I don't always know what to say, because some of the stuff that worked for me in high school many moons ago is not necessarily relevant today. If you have great tips, how can I support my student? How can I, how can I say stuff that's not annoying? How can I say stuff that's actually truly helpful? you know, and how can I just generally support him? He's a great kid. He's got a lot to say, and it's very frustrating, obviously, not being able to say it. So any tips would be very welcome.
Excellent. Yeah. And, do you guys have any suggestions on the panel?
I got something on my mind right now is we like as a stutterer, we love people to keep the eye contact. Don't lose the eye contact, because if you lose your eyes contact, to us, it's just like we lose the trust of the listener. So it would be like heartbroken. And the second thing that I would say is wait for him or her to finish the sentence. Like don't get in in the middle of a sentence. Yeah. I think that's all.
Thank you. Do you have advice about making friends when you have a hard time introducing yourself?
Do you have any advice, Stephen or Alexis?
With me, when I would talk to new people or try to make new friends, it's maybe this is just my personality. I have a very outward personality, but I would go up to them, say that I stutter, my name's Steven, and start talking a general conversation, and don't focus on the stuttering aspect too much, because it just seems uncomfortable for people who don't know much about it. But for me, it's just actually introducing yourself and actually going out and making new friends, because people, once you introduce yourself, they more likely talk to you. And the big part is just introducing yourself and getting yourself out there, because once you do, then the people who you talk to, they're bound to talk to you back, if that makes any sense.
What I'm getting is the advice would be just go for it, you know, kind of YOLO, right? Um, just definitely just put yourself out there. I feel like that's probably harder for someone who stutters, though. You just have to kind of bite the bullet, right? And just do it. Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, and I would just add too that kind of taking the focus away from the fluency and focusing on the communication aspect, and just trying to focus on making a connection. Because at least for me in the past and even now, if I focus on the fluency, then it's not helpful. It's definitely it shifts the focus away from actually communicating with the person I'm trying to talk to, and it's just not really helpful for me anyway to focus on the fluency aspect, and to just really have the goal of making the connection with the person that I'm actually talking to. So that's kind of a big shift, I think, for a lot of people to kind of to make, but it does tend to make a pretty big difference, because then you're willing to prioritize the connection aspect, and then the fluency isn't as much of a barrier or as much of a priority. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but
Yeah, it seems to me like general advice for meeting new people is to kind of try and find a point of connection, and try to find common ground, be interested in what they have to say. And like you said, not really making your stuttering the focus of the conversation, because it is relevant to the conversation, but it is not the focus, is what I'm getting from what you're saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, just keep on trying, right?
Yeah, it just sometimes it takes a lot of time and perseverance, but it'll definitely get easier for them.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have things to add?
I want to share this one because I did like put myself hard on fluency, but like it didn't work out. I remember people say that normal people don't say a whole sentence, but they say word by word. And that makes sense to me when I apply to my life. Like, I don't try to say like the whole sentence, but I would rather say like word by word. Just like if I say like Ariana, right? So I would say Ariana, like word by word is better, and it's not stressful as you have to push yourself to say a whole sentence. And it did really helps me a lot, and until right now. Yeah.
Awesome. So we got a few more minutes here. If anybody else has any other topics or just things that they'd like to share or add to the group.
I would like to add to the current conversation. I was at an assembly on Wednesday, and one of the pieces of advice was, when meeting new people, try to start conversations like small conversations. If you're not someone who can just put put yourself out there completely and introduce yourself and just start talking to someone, like gradually start asking about little things, and introduce yourself, and it will get easier and more natural when talking to new people.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So basically start small. Don't try and do the whole conversation right off the bat. Yeah, good advice.
Excellent. All right. Anybody else have anything to add, or? Yeah, go ahead, Amin.
Hi, everybody. I'm a person who stutters as well. And like Rick, I'm in higher ed as well. I have a question for the panelists, or actually anyone here. As you go up through the grades, and actually this is a question, it's kind of a follow-up to what Rick asked about transitions. As you go through the grades from summer to fall and so on and so forth, and how does it change? I'm interested in generally to know about what your anxieties and aspirations are as you go through the grades with respect to speech. You know, what are some things that you're anxious about? What are things that you're worried about? What are things that you're looking forward to?
Is there anybody on the panel or just in the group that would like to share about that?
In school for me, I'm excited to meet new people. And one thing I would say I'm kind of worried about is is giving long presentations because of my stutter. Though I know I shouldn't really be nervous. I still am, but nervous about maybe like I'm nervous about talking a lot to a lot of people, but uh just this another just piece of advice for me that shouldn't stop you from doing it. You should still try to talk and do presentations and stuff like that. That's really all I have.
Excellent. So do you feel like your goals or just kind of the things that you would like to see happen or change or anything have kind of changed over the years, like with regard to your speech?
Uh yes, at one time I wanted to try to be fluent and try to like speak fluently, but now I do not care so much about fluency. I just care about talking and uh just putting myself out there and meeting new people and not so much on fluency anymore and just about talking.
Cool. How about you, Alexis,
I
or
would-
James?
Sorry. I would say there's not much in school so far that I'm worried about, just because um as this being my third year, I've kind of gotten the gist of everything. But the one thing that has kind of worried me is I take Spanish class, and so speaking in another language while being a stutterer is kind of difficult, just because there are multiple things that go into speaking Spanish, and it's not just talking. It's fluency, Asian, and it's been kind of hard for presentations, just because it takes me a lot longer in general to speak.
Excellent. Cool. Well, thanks a lot for sharing, Alexis. James, did you have anything to add to that, or your or Caitlin too?
Not really. It's just that I found also joining clubs is a good idea. Well, I like clubs a lot. Right now I'm in drum one for
Cool.
high school, and that's fun. And homecoming is next week, so I still get to perform. So
Nice.
so that'd be fun.
Yeah. So just trying to get more involved
Yeah.
with like extra
You can meet
curricular
new
stuff.
people too.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool. All right. Well, if anybody, unless anybody else has stuff to add or more questions, we'll probably start to wrap things up here. Does anybody else have anything to add or questions? No? All right. Well, I really want to thank our panelists. That was super, super helpful and just encouraging to hear everybody's stories and just the journey that they're on and that we're all kind of undertaking. And so I think it's just great to have this kind of a support system and just to know that we're not alone and that there are a lot of other people out there, and there's a lot of ideas and a lot of ways to kind of handle this and to be able to encourage each other. So I really hope that you guys can continue to join in on these and just keep on trucking. And I just love hearing from all of you. So definitely keep your eyes and your ears out. There will be more of these community series in the future. So you'll be getting it because you registered for this. You should be on the email list, and so you should be getting alerts about the upcoming ones in the future. And so I definitely encourage you to continue to join in on these. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of the people at Friends, including myself as well. I'll put my email address in the chat there if you'd like to if you have any questions for me. So I'm just at the University of New Mexico. So my email address is rickarenas@unm.edu. So I think that'll conclude our time, but it was really great seeing you guys, and have a great weekend.